This is Everything Elite, the world's first and best All Elite Wrestling podcast. It's AB. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Nate, a.k.a. Epitasis. What's up, Nate?
What's up, AB? It's me, here to podcast with you from snowy Chicago. Got my warm tea. Have not left the home today. Didn't go to the show. Would be entirely too much effort. Yeah, I'm here. What's going on with you?
Not much. Looks like we're going to have a lot of ice tonight, a big ice storm.
One of the cousins of snow and ice, hand in hand.
Indeed. Perhaps, I mean, I'm going to say the worse. An ice storm is worse, I think, than a snowstorm.
Yeah. Me and Mike definitely talked about ice a lot recently. Was that on a Patreon show or before a Patreon show?
I don't know if that made air or not, but we definitely have had this conversation in recent memory.
Yeah, probably wasn't worthy of air. But yeah, we went deep on ice.
You're both worthy of air, I just want to say. Well, ice, I'm terrified because I don't want to have to get the driveway un-iced.
Yeah.
Also
no, it
terrified
stinks big
of
time.
Losing power.
Power is important.
It is important. Well,
did get got a phone notification from ComEd about power, and I just thought about, I don't know what it was, last year when all those people in Texas got charged $1 million because it was cold once.
Yeah. Brutal. Speaking of cold.
Brutal.
Mike's also Mike
didn't know where you were going with that.
What's the weather like around the compound?
You know, everyone was concerned that we were going to get like a big storm because we had a big storm earlier last month, and the highest snow and ice in one day total in recorded Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina history. But you know, we're gonna get rain. The thing is that for things to really hit us, because of where I am on the mountains, being in the Blue Ridge Mountains, it is something that like they have to get over the Smokies, they have to get over that leg of the Appalachians, and then they have to get over the Blue Ridge. So Asheville gets everything. I don't. And this time, I'm not getting a damn thing. It's just going to be rain. But it's been like cold and windy out here, like wind chills in the teens, which, you know, I know that like the fancy northerners out there would be like, oh, that's nothing, you're a wuss. But when you're like used to not that, it's insane. And then like talking to friends and family who still live in the Metroplex, they're getting like 2 to 3 inches of ice. And I'm just like, that we learned last year how bad that can be down there. It's going to happen like that again. So everyone in Dallas-Fort Worth, stay warm, stay safe.
Definitely stay warm. Definitely stay safe. I was thinking about how like weather is like a common small talk topic, right? It's like you run into a stranger or whatever, and you're like, hey, we're going to chat for a couple minutes about this weather. And that's like going to necessarily change when weather's extreme all the time. It's like, oh yeah, no, weather is like the defining part of our existence in the near future. Are you noticing that I have no bar on my sound bar? Is that coming through for you guys?
No, you're coming through clear.
Well, I know you can hear me, but I can't see my waveform. Can you see my waveform?
Yeah,
yes,
I
sir.
see you.
Oh, that's strange. It's totally blank for me. Well, that's besides the point. But yeah, so that's funny about talking. Also, my dad is like a big weather head. Like he like bought like his own weather station so we can get his like personalized weather readings for his home and all this shit, which is like a funny thing to be especially interested or passionate about or whatever, because like he'll talk to me about weather stuff and be like, this is what people talk about when they're just like talking to strangers and don't have anything else to talk about.
Yes, it is. That and sports, I think, are the two big small talk things.
Yes. Especially in the male business world.
That's right. Love to drop when I don't know anything else to say, I love to drop how about those cats to someone.
Yeah, and then they're like the Northwestern Wildcats.
No, no one's ever said that.
They don't say that.
That's never happened.
How much do you hear? How about them Northwestern Wildcats, Nate, in your everyday life? I'd wager not a lot.
No, I don't have any Northwestern grads in my caress. Mostly Bears. Mostly just the Bears.
Only thing I think about Northwestern, isn't that the school the kid was from in like the crying Duke picture? No, he was a Duke fan, right? Were they playing Northwestern, or am I just making all this up?
I assume it's reference to some GIF or meme.
Yeah, Duke. They were playing Maryland, so I made it all up. If you Google Duke crying kid, you'll see him. But he's basically like a young kid with his dad at a game. It's Duke and Maryland, so it wasn't Northwestern at all. But
Terrapins.
Exactly. I can have this confirmed, but early in that game, they showed the kid. I texted my friend Nathan and I said, I want to see that kid cry. And then when Duke lost, they came back and the kid was fucking crying.
Did you just, I would cry tears of joy just to want something and just have it delivered unto you like that.
It was the best, the only probably called shot of my life.
Let's see. Notable Northwestern things. The Medill School of Journalism, I think.
Of which we're all graduates of course.
Yep. We're all journalists here. Let's see. Did they hire a coach from Colorado? Gary something. They went to one bowl game. They went to
the
one
Rose
bowl
Bowl
game in my lifetime. Yeah, the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, but they've had the same coach at Northwestern for like 20 years, and he is kind of a tyrant, and he busted a union. So
nice.
Yeah,
there was a crying Northwestern kid too. That's where this all got mixed up in my.
I see.
In my brain.
Yeah, there's probably crying kids from most schools.
Sure, I just mean a meme crying kid.
Yes, I know.
Northwestern. They also isn't that where. Didn't the football team try to? Yeah, that's what you were saying, right, Mike? They tried to form a union.
Right, yeah. King Coulter.
Yeah. Chris Collins?
Evanston, great campus. Chris Collins.
Did he coach at Northwestern?
I had two friends that went to Northwestern, went and visited them once. It's probably a great place to go to school in Evanston.
I went on a campus visit to Northwestern. I thought that at one point in my life, I was like, I'm smart enough to go here, until like they actually like sat you down. It's like, these are the grades you need to get into the school. And I was like, I don't care about going to this college enough to get my grades to that point. And that was like my last bit of wanting to go to Northwestern. Beautiful campus.
Yeah, it's definitely like the tough local school to get into for Chicago kids.
Anyone who went to any school that people call a good school is the dumbest motherfucker you've ever met in your life. There is no exception to this rule.
That's definitely not true.
It's true.
Because you can go to a very good school and then, get all your connections and cronies and profit considerably from it. It's much dumber to go to, and I'm, somewhat guilty of this, go to like an equally expensive school that's not as good. It doesn't set you up with all those insider crony connections.
No, I simply mean they're dumb in that they're stupid. They are of lesser intelligence than other people.
Okay.
As just like
that's what I assumed dumb meant. I wasn't confused on what dumb means.
Well, it seemed like you were. So I was confused then.
I was, so thank you for clarifying.
All right,
I appreciate
let's move
that.
On. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that you were confused. What do we got here? We got a Twitter account at Everything AEW. Please follow it. Follow us. I'm at Aaron Like the Car. Nate's at Epitasis. Mike is at Fuji. Hey, yeah, with 2 eyes. Subscribe to the podcast, whatever podcast app you use. You can go to linktra.ee/everythingaew and find all our links. If you use the Apple Podcast app, give us a 5-star rating and review. If you use Spotify, give us a 5-star rating and review. And if you want to support the show, the very best way to do so is go to patreon.com/everythingelite and sign up. It's a new month. So there's going to be new stuff over on the Patreon. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we'll kick off the substance. I mean, it was all substantive. That was a great open. But we'll kick off the wrestling part of our show, as we often do, with Elite or Delete. We just like to say our favorite things, least favorite things from the show. We kick it off with Nate. What was your Elite pick, your favorite thing from this week's episode of Dynamite?
I do love the word substantive. That's a word that I get a lot of use out of when people will send me obnoxious emails that are like, hey, just doubling back on, just wanted to follow up with you on this. Do you have any updates on X and Y? No, there are no substantive updates on this thing that I'm well aware of, and you don't need to follow up with me. It's just an aside about the word substantive. I'm going to go with our first segment, or the second segment after the first segment. Had a very solid Moxley and Wheeler Yuta match to open this show. I thought this match was much more engaging and brisker than Moxley's match from Rampage last week. They plugged Wheeler Yuta in here and gave him this shot to have another crack at Jon Moxley. And I thought it worked out pretty well. You had the added elements of Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, and Danhausen may be the second most over person in this match. Actually, I don't think there's an argument. I think he was the second most over person in this match. And then, Moxley gets the decisive win in a brief amount of time. Love to see that. And then you get Bryan Danielson coming out here to just walk into the ring and confront Jon Moxley, which is like a funny third step in this story that's been iterating over the last couple of weeks, where it's like, oh, Bryan Danielson is watching Jon Moxley from the floor of the back of the arena. Jon Moxley is wrestling a match and Bryan Danielson's watching him on a monitor. And now Bryan Danielson's just magically appearing in the ring after a Jon Moxley match. So that amused me. And then you just get a great promo from this tremendous character that Bryan Danielson's doing, where he's acting like he's above AEW. He's kind of condescending to all the fans and everything they love, and saying, I know you guys all love AEW. It's so great, blah, 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 which is, really directly contrary to his promo he cut in this very city when he debuted in AEW. Was like, the reason I'm here is because you guys are so awesome and you all love AEW so much. And now he's just using that exact same line, but as a heel line. And, invites Jon Moxley, hey, I saw you as the best champ in AEW history. I saw you as the top guy. And then now you've come back here, and you shouldn't be out here with nobody watching your back. And because, of course, that's how he lost the title to Omega, I suppose. So we should team up instead of us facing off, which also fits well because, Danielson's whole thing with the Paige thing was he was ducking the fight over and over again. So I was kind of chafing at the idea, Danielson kept ducking Paige when he's got the title. I don't get that. And then he just comes out and he wants Moxley right off the bat. No, he doesn't actually want Moxley. He wants to team up with Moxley and avoid that fight. And then you just get the fun little stuff where he's running through all the, young boys, young lions, up and coming talent that they could have, and doing all these little subtle burials and shots at these baby faces while he, even puts them over. Daniel Garcia, Dante Martin, Wheeler Yuta, Lee Moriarty, and, saying, fucking Sammy Guevara's got a vlog. Anyway, great promo. And I really like this as the next sort of thread for both these guys to pursue for their next story. Because Moxley a little bit lost in the shuffle after, having lost the title, downcycling, and being away. And then Danielson, also just losing that title challenge. So he's got to find something new to do. So they're going to, I don't know if we're going to a team here. There's some good intrigue because I don't know what they're going to do next, which is always a fun thing. But, anything makes sense. And I'm confident that Bryan Danielson's going to make it work because he's made everything work superbly, stupendously to this point.
Yeah, it's something that like the intrigue is what gets me about this promo, about this storyline, because it looked like it was just like, oh, Danielson wants a fight, and then instead he inverts it and goes like, no, we could fight. I've always wanted to fight you, and as what you've become now, and saying like this and how you were. I always wanted to do this, but I realized. And maybe this is partly him ducking him in a way, and that's like a great thing about Danielson as well, is we don't really get his motivation here. And it looks like he's sincere. He's acting somewhat sincere, but we've known for the last 2 months that he's not necessarily as sincere and honest about his intentions as before. But he plants the seed in his mind, and it's not just about him and Moxley and then all the people all the young guys who was like, you shouldn't be Wheeler Yuta, you shouldn't be hanging out with Orange Cassidy. You should be with us. You should be a better pro wrestler. Lee Moriarty, Matt Sydal just flies around. You should be with us. Daniel Garcia, and then Daniel Garcia tweets and is somewhat intrigued by this. So it kind of is like him like spreading his tendrils out, but kind of in a way, this also with Eddie Kingston and with Eddie being hurt right now, it can lead to something like that as well. It could be like Eddie being like, oh yeah, no, this guy is using you. I have your back. And I think that that's a very intriguing part of this as well. And I think that's like what this segment really accomplished is that you have Moxley there, the variable ace of the company, coming back and being a little bit adrift since coming back. And then you have Danielson, and we don't know his motivations, his machinations, and just cuts like this promo where he's like, oh, you don't have to make a decision now. Just think about it. Just think about it so that we can kind of see this play out throughout the next few weeks. And it's just, it was something that I was like, I did not see this going this way. And I think that that's really awesome to see where this plays out. Like, I'm all in on wherever this goes to now, just this one promo. And it wasn't even a long promo. I'm invested in it, and I want to see where it goes to.
As everyone knows, I fucked up trying to tell my friend Rob's joke on the show last week. I think that was last week. So I'm going to steal this idea from Rob, but I'm going to, I guess, not steal it because I'm giving him credit for it. So Rob was saying in a text that, you know, he would love for this to be real, right? Like an actual Mox and Danielson team, maybe a faction where they bring on some of these other guys. Of course, we all agreed that that was unlikely. But then Rob says, the obvious swerve is that Mox declines, but Brian already has his actual faction lined up to help him take Mox out, right? I think that is an interesting idea. Like, could be a fun way to go, where as soon as Mox says no, Daniel Garcia and Lee Moriarty, whoever, however they decide to do it, just attack Mox, and we go off from running there, and then Eddie Kingston can get worked in, and if Santana and Ortiz are going off with him from Inner Circle, they can get worked in to the story. So there's a lot of fun ways to go.
Yeah. Either way they go, I think should be interesting, and I have confidence in these guys to make it work and make it logical, and if they can, boost up that next generation of dudes while they're doing it, all the better.
All right, Mike, what was your favorite thing from this week's episode?
I absolutely loved this main event. And it was something that I know a lot of people were kind of dreading the main event when they saw like how much time there was left. But they started off like having a match that was very reminiscent of like a Continental spot show main event in 1987, where it just was a lot of working and doing crowd brawling and doing the pendulum and the ropes punches and doing like this. I was like, oh, they're just feeding off crowd reaction. And the crowd was rabid for this. And instead, they went from there into this like incredible just ride that they took us on. And I thought that was something that this is I think it might be my favorite CM Punk in the match since Money in the Bank 2011. I just thought that Punk kind of just like getting beaten down, but still trying to find ways and like pulling things out of his moveset that you don't see for a long time, like the Pepsi plunge. Like there was like that sick roundhouse kick they did in the final moments, the Poison Rana that he took completely on his neck and shoulders 25 minutes into the match. A well done false finish with the garrote, and the idea that Bryce Remsburg is the most incompetent ref in the company. He just completely plays up the role of like, oh, MJF would have gotten away with it. He didn't drop the rope there. MJF, I mean, he might be the best in-ring wrestler in this company outside of like Pac. And it's something that it's kind of insane for me to think, because how much I was not liking this, liking this feud, like the fact that like they had to do a super cut of the promos to make people go like, oh yeah, this is a coherent feud. And it wasn't, but this match was magical. And it was something that you even had Wardlow come out the end, just completely doing the will he, won't he moment. And then we see on the replay that like he just, because he has to, he handed the ring to MJF. He did not seem happy about it, but Wardlow doesn't necessarily emote that much. So you kind of have the question of like, is everything okay with Wardlow? Is this going to happen? Like, I don't know if Wardlow is ever going to turn on MJF at this point, but I bought into it for the 30 seconds before the finish. And then the picture-in-picture showing him sliding the ring to him. I just thought that this was an absolute masterclass. And it was something that, you know, I wish everything leading up to this match was as satisfying and made me like amped up to this, because that would take this to an absolute different level for me. But I thought that this match was, I'm trying to think of a singles match in this company in the men's division that I've enjoyed in recent memory as much of this match. It might be the Omega and Phoenix match last year. So like over a year, like this is my favorite match they've had in the company in over a year, and probably my favorite Punk match in over a decade. I thought this was magical.
Yeah, I came away from this really impressed with both these guys. Ability to work, ability to do the little stuff. I think I said on the show last week, like, I expected this match should be very good. We've been saying for a long time that MJF is a great in-ring wrestler. We know that Punk has the ability to go and have transcendent wrestling matches. And there were definitely parts of this match that were totally transcendent. I guess this is both kind of they were so good at like the midway point of establishing what a war this was. And like Punk was selling that he was destroyed in his arm and his knee. And like, then he came down to Poison Rana on his neck. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, I absolutely believe that this CM Punk guy is in extreme physical pain and, in agony wrestling this match and still doing everything he can to fight back against MJF here. And then he had to do that for like 15 more minutes. So it's like, I don't know, there was a little bit of a pacing or timing thing in the middle there where it's like, yeah, I'm like so impressed with this war that these guys are having. And then it's like, okay, we got to the war and we still have some time before the finish. We need to do that time as well. And it just, I don't know, maybe that was an ad break and it just kind of lagged a little bit for me. But yeah, I think, the broad strokes of this match really good. Like you said, all the interaction with the crowd and the fan stuff was really good. I was struck by Punk taking MJF to ringside and having some fans chop him. And Punk just, having a big smile on his face after that. He had a big smile on his face doing the pendulum spot and the 10 punch spot and just all those old school babyface things where, you get to do a 10 spot and you actually get to 10 and the babyface looks like he's having the time of his life because he's getting to beat the shit out of the heel, is just like the stuff that's been lost a little bit. It's like, yeah, no, this guy hates MJF and he wants to beat him up. And now that he's doing it, he is having the time of his life. And you don't always just get those, you don't always connect those dots on those character things sometimes in wrestling. So that was great. I was struck, there's like a total moratorium in WWE now, even more than then. But even then, it was like, you cannot interact with the fans at all. Like, you can't jaw with a fan. You can't react to a chant. You can't do X and Y. Now they just have to like, they just dub in fake sound for all their promos and shit. So it's even worse now. And it's just a stark contrast where, no, MJF, Punk can take MJF to ringside and have a fan chop this guy and then, get a big thrill out of it. So that's great. Yeah, the finish. So the fake finish was fun. Punk firing up as a white meat babyface after that was really fun. You know, they did the same thing, I think, in the MJF Jericho match also in Chicago at All Out, right? Where they did a fake ref something and then they gave it more time, I think. So that was kind of a funny little callback. And then they did the Wardlow one, which I totally bought on. You know, Wardlow stepping away from Punk, and it's like, oh, you know, here it is. He's going to let Punk finish him. And having a little touch where that was actually Wardlow dropping the ring to MJF was, you know, a nifty little thing. I guess I can't unreservedly say I love it, just because it's like a 40-minute match where you have heel cheating that gets reversed, and then you just do more heel cheating at the end. Which, you know, I think is a valid storytelling thing to do. Fits in perfectly with MJF's character. You know, it gives Punk his first loss. That's all fair to do. But yeah, I don't know. What's that match? Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley, maybe, where they have like a tremendous match and then some kind of fuck finish. And it'll just always have a little bit of an asterisk for me, I guess, because you do those little heel cheating. And this is a company where heels cheat to win at least once per show, if not 2 or 3 times per show recently. So yeah, really strong. But yeah, did I enjoy it more than Hangman versus Danielson 2? No, I didn't.
I don't have any big takes on this. I thought it was good. I didn't care about the story, so I was like out of it completely for the first, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, but they won me over. They had the crowd the whole time. The crowd, I was going to say they won the crowd over, but that would be unfair because they always had the crowd. And the crowd was still in it 30 minutes deep or, you know, whatever ended up going. So it was successful on just about every level you could think of. The crowd liked it. The story made sense. I mean, I agree with you, Nate, that it's not really the kind of story I like, and especially because it's so common that it really doesn't have any impact, you know, it really doesn't have an effect on you because you've seen it a billion times. So, but it makes sense. I get the story they're telling, so that's fine. I would have preferred for this feud to end. Clearly, it's not going to end. So we'll keep riding this for a while, at least until Revolution, I'm sure. And perhaps past that, depending on what the whole thing with Wardlow turns out to be and where that goes. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was a good pro wrestling match.
Yeah, if this was the one cheating to win spot that they've done in the promotion, in the last 6 weeks, then maybe you go, oh, dastardly MJF, he fucking used the Dynamite dozen Battle Royale ring to cheat us out of a CM Punk victory after this hard-fought war. But, Adam Cole wins by a low blow every week. So it's like, yeah, when you do it that much, you're not playing, for me anyway, you're not putting your heat on the wrestler. You're going, Tony keeps booking these cheating finishes. And maybe that's just a difference in fan culture now or something, but yeah, it'll continue. Where's Revolution at this year?
Orlando.
Will they blow it off at Orlando now? Maybe.
I mean, I think they could. I mean, that's 4 weeks out, first week of March. Orlando, I mean, I think tickets are going okay there. This could probably sell some more tickets. I could see that being the right point for that. I mean, makes sense. Feels like the one program that has been built up, like as much as like the program has been, like they've built it up enough that like they could string this along more than for 4 more weeks. We might not enjoy it, but there is a runway to get to Orlando.
Considering my dislike of the story, I expect them to blow this off at All Out.
Yeah, that is, if I want to find a frustration, the story did not evolve here, I don't think. Like there's not a new step for it to do next week where Punk comes out and says, I learned this thing in this match. so now that's going to change the tenor of the feud or whatever. But no, he just, got MJF using the ring to cheat to win, which, he does all the time. So it's not like anything new. It's like, yeah, you did exactly what I expected you to do. Now we're going to keep talking at each other until we do it again, I guess.
Yep. Maybe in a cage or something.
Maybe if Wardlow gets more involved, that would be at least, I think, a fresh element to it. I don't know what you do or how you do that right now.
I mean, he's been pretty heavily involved. I mean, he was forced to kind of keep it on during the match, and then he was forced to powerbomb him last week. Like, he's been an active element of it. It's just like now we're getting to think of him having doubt. Like, Wardlow might be the person to carry this to the pay-per-view.
Yes, yeah. So you are right. He's been a player. They did the match, etc. But maybe we get more Wardlow, your favorite word, agency, and he becomes more of a catalyst. That would I think at least freshen it up for me to get, because I'm super high on Wardlow.
All right, I think that makes it my turn. Not a lot that I thought was excellent on the show. I think you all certainly picked the two best things on the show. The other thing that I liked, not necessarily because I liked the segment, but because I liked that this thing existed, was the apparent entry onto the actual wrestling roster of Paige Van Zant. I mean, I was calling for that. We all were calling for that back when she was first showing up in those American Top Team segments. Of course, I can't have nice things, so her as a wrestler is going to be against Brandi. I mean, I'll take what I can get, but I'm excited to see Paige Van Zant wrestle, and I assume, surely to God, that's where this is heading. So I'm going to give it a preemptive elite.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to roll this into my delete. So yeah, I think Paige Van Zant is a pretty interesting addition here, and it would be cool if she can come out and be an effective wrestler or whatever. I hope, this is the same thing I said about Ogogo. I hope they don't just have her in there doing the same wrestling moves as anybody else. I hope she can, do what's unique to her and whatever, if that's her MMA stuff or her bare knuckle boxing. But yeah, I'm interested to see that. And if she has any chops, I guess. I think she's, got the other tools. I think she's got the charisma, and I think she's got the audience buy-in already. So yeah, I agree with you on all those. The segment in which they set this up was my delete because it was insane. So this is basically what we've talked about ever since the first Lambert and Brandi segment, which is that Cody's weird tweener thing, his Codyism, like extends to Brandi in a way, but because Brandi's not like able to go out and do these crazy matches or whatever that are just become these total spectacles, and you just like gotta hand it to him. Brandi, doesn't have that sort of eject button, or she can't bail herself out by going through a flaming table or doing a ladder match with Sammy Guevara or whatever. So when she comes out here and does this weird thing that she does with her character, it totally undercuts Dan Lambert's heel thing, which he acknowledges here, which makes it all the more perplexing. I will say, this was a lot like Cody's little ladder promo, where impossible to look away, totally riveting, because you just have no idea what's going to happen next, and a dozen bizarre things could happen. But was this successful? I don't know. I guess maybe if you're setting up Paige Van Zant, who was a heel and being managed by the biggest heel on the roster, if you now want to set her up to be a babyface being managed by the biggest heel on the roster, then I guess this is how you would start to do that. But it's hard to say because the first thing out of Brandi's mouth is a heel local heat joke, which so here's my psychoanalysis. I think she knows that she's not going to succeed as a babyface, but she's supposed to be a babyface. So she like, is too cute by half and tries to come out and like disarm it by being like, well, I can't be a babyface, so I'm just going to be a heel. And that's going to be, totally destructive to the dynamic of whatever I'm doing with Dan Lambert. But because she can do it, she just does, which she acknowledges also. You have the Men of the Year here, just total window dressing to this. Have a nonsensical line about we hired Ethan Page so we could get Josh Alexander, but then they didn't get Josh Alexander. So what does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. And yeah, you have Dan Lambert doing the other thing that Cody does, which is like, oh, I'm just going to use a bunch of inside terms and talk about your heel turn and so on and so forth. But I'm a heel, even though these are babyface lines. There's no way to parse it. There's no way to make sense of it, I think, because it doesn't make sense. But it was, riveting. You couldn't look away. I don't know what they're doing. But Paige Van Zant's cool.
Yeah, do we know what they're doing? Like, it's a car crash. Like, you can't look away from it. It's like watching a flaming car wreck. Like, you don't know what caused it. You don't know why it's happened, but you're like, this is happening. Everything is happening. And I've seen people already like claim that this might be contract tampering, which is wild as well.
What, Josh Alexander?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Listeners, I was not riveted by the segment.
I don't know how you can't be riveted, because it is insane stuff.
It's like one of those things where I'm embarrassed that it's happening, like, for her, and so I just like can't look at it.
See, I will, I think Brandi does have something in that I would be embarrassed for her, except that she seems to be pretty comfortable and confident while she's doing this car crash.
She's steering into
worse
it.
To me.
Like, she kind of is steering into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Cronenberg's Crash with Brandi Rhodes.
It's what? I don't know who did the other Crash with Brandi Rhodes.
I don't know who did that either.
Who fucking knows? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a bummer that, as you said, whenever we first started talking about this, however many weeks ago, that Lambert, your top heel essentially is just completely declawed, and now Brandi is getting the shut the fuck up chance that Lambert used to get.
Yeah,
like who comes out ahead here? Like who wins? Like who comes off better in the end of this?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll go out and have a crazy match, then Paige Van Zant will win, and then people will cheer that in a big way, and they'll be excited to see her. That's the best case scenario, I think, for it. If Brandi beats Paige Van Zant, it's a negative for everybody, because it's not going to make Brandi anymore, received as legitimate or liked. But it'll just be more cronyism, whatever, complaints about her, I suppose. So I can't recommend that.
Brandi should knock her out.
They should have like a total bloodbath brawl is what they should do. Like the Bula McGillicuddy versus Bill Alfonso match from ECW.
The women's division should be a deathmatch division.
Yeah, that's their best shot for making hay out of this, is just have Brandi, go full deathmatch mode. And yeah, maybe you get Paige Van Zant established. That I guess a positive here is, I mean, not that this was in question, but hey, we know Paige Van Zant's going to get time, going to get an opportunity to get established here, because Brandi's going to get whatever time she wants, it seems like, which she acknowledges. Yeah, I don't.
It's fascinating to me that it seems that the Bucks and Omega kind of got, their power was kind of sucked up by Tony Khan. It seems, they kind of have to do their thing, but they do it within the the flow of the game, right? They're within the context of the show normally. And Cody and Brandi appear to just be able to do literally any fucking thing they want. And I don't know if it's
there's no filter.
I don't know if it's because of the reality show. You know, they're like, maybe they're beloved by Turner execs. I don't know, but it's fascinating.
I will ask. I was gonna say I'll ask my mom, whose only exposure to AEW is through Road to the Top, if she likes the Cody and Brandi, because that would answer that question whether or not if this is baby facing them for the TV show.
Yeah, I mean that is what it seems like. I think that's how everybody kind of reads it, is that Cody and Brandi get to play their music however they want. I guess we don't. You know, maybe Tony really loves them and this, so that's why they get to do it. And maybe he's piloting it for him. I just can't know or say, but it is a curious dynamic.
Tony overbooks everything. So, I mean, I think it's very possible that he just enjoys Codyism.
Yeah. Well, you got to hand it to Codyism sometimes.
I shan't. Maybe one day. Not today. All right. Listener Elite is going to be... Look, everybody's elites were about the things we've already talked about. So, Listener Elite, our friend Grinder, who gets shouted out from quite regularly, but Grinder's Elite, the guide dog Alex.
Like that might be the first time that Pac has actually interacted with Alex Abrahantes. Like it always seems like that Alex is Penta and Phoenix's friend, but like the fact that actually Pac was using him as a guide dog is actually acknowledgement that he exists. Because before this, I was not certain of that.
I can't endorse this. I cannot endorse making Alex Abrahantes an elite pick under any circumstances. He's always an elite to me. The blindfold thing, I don't think it worked or got over. I think the people were just be like, "Oh wow, Pac's ducking his forearms and going for backspinning heel kicks while wearing a blindfold," and people just, well, you can see through the blindfold. Who fucking cares? So yeah, I didn't like it.
We should do elite and delete Valentine's cards. It's coming up on the holiday.
Like as a merch idea.
I mean,
$10 tier.
I just meant like a JPEG, not an actual card.
Gotta say, you might get in trouble if you send your kid to school with Valentine's cards that say "I delete you."
Yeah,
I don't have any kids.
Yeah.
Great news.
Was this a thing in your guys' school, like elementary school or whatever, where you'd have to give out Valentines to everybody in the class?
Oh yeah, because everyone would decorate the box and put the box in the front of their desk, and you weren't allowed to skip people. Yeah.
How weird was that? You made your little Valentine inbox,
right?
What a strange. Why does this have to be a school kid tradition in the first place?
Yeah,
but then,
and it's like,
sometimes
why would a teacher want the?
Yeah, sure. Which is a tough needle to thread for a child to be like, okay, I have to write a Valentine for every kid in my class, but I want to make one special. But how do I do that without being too obvious about it or whatever? Tough to do.
I definitely at least once, probably more than once, had wrestling Valentines that I took to school without a question.
Yeah, like the WWF ones. Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'm confident that I did not. I did not watch wrestling at the time of mandatory Valentines.
I definitely did.
This is all right. This is becoming more strange to me the more I think about it. That there was compulsory Valentine handing out by the school.
And on top of that, like, as a teacher, would you really want to get all the kids hopped up on sweethearts and just like cheap candy? Like, would you really want that to be like a thing? Like, how is that accepted? That middle schoolers and elementary school kids, they just get wired because you're gonna put the candy in the box too, and there's no way you can tell the kids not to eat the candy after the candy's in the box.
Well, I think you're probably right about that, but it is also probably nice as a teacher to have just like the last 2 hours of the day be like, okay, have your little party, and then, look at your phone or whatever.
How about hopped up on romance?
Definitely don't want the kids hopped up on a romance.
That's
don't?
the worst result of this is hopped up on romance. No, you don't want that at all.
When I was bringing my WWF cards, I was bringing wrestle and romance to the table.
Big Tenru guy back in 1994 era. Love Tenru.
I did. All right. Let's talk about the stuff we did not like. Nate has already, I believe, deleted the Brandi segment. So, Mike, I'll just shoot it straight to you, brother. What you got?
I want this damn goop to mean something. Because people get gooped, they lose their vision for a little bit, but like, I want the goop to matter, and instead just being like a heel thing to do. I mean, like Julia Hart apparently still can't see. Pac, who knows when he got his vision back? So like, what does it mean to goop people constantly, unless it's like, because we know Tony Khan had the Angel Fire website, right, of all the different colors of mist. Like, we need to know what this black goop means. And the reason why I'm saying this is not because like there weren't things on I like the show a whole lot. I'm just like, man, the gooping is getting out of control. We have to figure out what the goop means. What does the goop mean, Nate? Please tell me what the goop means.
Okay. So we have 3 instances of the goop, I think. We have...
4 at least now.
Okay. Well, we have Pac was temporarily blinded in one eye by the goop. Had to wear an eye patch for a while. And then his vision healed. And he was mad and a bastard. We have...
He got gooped twice because he got gooped with the eye patch on. So he's been gooped.
Okay, I don't. If you're gooped with protection, it doesn't count as a gooping to me.
Okay. So
just always wear protection when you're gooping. We have Julia Hart, who got.
I'm gonna acknowledge that.
What did he say something?
Yes, it just like sex doesn't count.
Oh, I was making my own joke, and I talked over you, so I didn't hear it. We have Julia Hart. She got a light gooping. You could barely even see the goop in the air. So it's like a 60% gooping. She consequently was blinded in one eye, presumably wears an eye patch, and then started wearing long pants and asserting her independence from the tag team of insufferable bros that she hangs out with. So that's our second instance of gooping. And then we have the third one with Pentagon. Right? Is that the remaining one, which makes you lose the match, but he loses up matches all the time anyway, so hard to draw a conclusion there.
Cody got gooped and then he went insane.
Cody got gooped, that's right. But he didn't lose vision, right?
No, he just went full on with Codyism, and then we had the 2 titles and a ladder match, yeah. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, you're right. I don't see a commonality here, except it does certainly have the potential to impair your vision. I guess there's maybe... Did Pac become more of a bastard? Maybe he did. Julia became more independent and assertive. And Cody went harder into Codyism. So maybe the gooping just kind of dials you up to 11 of what you already are. So maybe Pentagon will have even less fear now. He'll be even more fearless. That's all I can guess.
Maybe break some arms again. Maybe that's what it does. It taps into it. Maybe we get someone that we thought Lars Fredrickson in the front row was Vampiro for a moment. Maybe we get Vampiro in the company and starts breaking arms.
Well, he did attempt to break Cody's arm, and it just didn't take. Cody didn't sell it.
Well, there's going to be, Mike, we're going to be talking about Vampiro pretty soon, you and me.
Oh, yeah. I know it. I'm looking forward to it.
The Human Torch match. Have you ever seen the Human Torch match?
No, I have not. I was not watching that era of WCW.
I've seen the Human Torch match.
Have you, Nate?
Oh, yeah. I love that era of WCW.
That's great. Absolutely. Okay. I think it's my turn to lead. I'll do the easy one. I'm going to delete Brian Kendrick, who was also deleted from this episode of Dynamite. Brian Kendrick was announced, I don't know, recently, that he was going to wrestle Jon Moxley tonight. He was just released from WWE. But throughout the day, it came out. I wasn't aware of this previously, so I don't know if it was already out there or what. But apparently, Brian Kendrick had said on multiple occasions, that he did not believe that the Holocaust was as bad as it was, that really only 250,000 Jews died in the Holocaust. And Bix had a whole video that he had posted about basically Kendrick going down the Jews are reptilians rabbit hole. So it was very bad, and so bad that Tony Khan pulled Brian Kendrick from the show. So, yeah, I'm just going to delete Brian Kendrick.
Yep. Can't argue with that one. I was pretty prepared to come on the show before he got removed and complain about, another replacement level wrestler getting a landing spot here in this company for some reason, with way more obvious downside than upside. And thankfully they pulled him. I think Tony did a statement about gathering more information or something. They said, he's not going to be on the show. I gather more information, blah, blah, blah. I think Kendrick did some apology tweets during the show. I didn't care to look at them really. But yeah, I hope they aren't intending to use him going forward or anything. Yeah, I would assume he was in here, obviously been friends with Bryan Danielson, who loves hanging out with dipshitted conspiracy theorists. So yeah, delete.
Yeah, delete. I mean, it just was something that, like, I was aware of Kendrick being a dipshit before this, but not to this degree. Like, I mean, there was an entire High Spots shoot series with him and Paul London, who distanced himself way before this all emerged, of them talking about conspiracy theories. And it's something that, not to this level, not to the stuff that was tweeted around today, you just had to. And it's just something that is just like, why in the first place, Brian Kendrick, other than, I guess he was now collecting the Cruiserweight Classic playset instead of just the Ring of Honor playset. But he also was in Ring of Honor. But yeah, delete.
See ya, Brian Kendrick. Listener delete.
Got his ass. You nailed him. You killed him.
That's right. Fuck you.
See ya.
I'm not going to say what I normally say about people I don't like, because I don't need that again. Listener delete, my good friend and longtime nemesis, Drew Spears. Delete. Talking about Mox's rehab / sobriety as Mox recently took some personal time for himself. It makes it sound like he's beating off. Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, if you want to get shouted out in the Elite Elite section, you got to go off the beaten path a little bit. Don't take one of the three obvious ones, because the three of us always looking for low-hanging fruit. Second tip, if you can include a reference to beating off, Aaron will probably laugh at it and then put it on the show.
Absolutely. Sophomore humor always gets over with me, unless it's MJF.
Yeah, they got to get the Good Brothers back in this company.
Exactly. All right. Well, there wasn't a lot on this show, so we've talked about almost all of it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the run sheet, and we're like, yeah.
Should we run through the poll?
Oh, sure, yeah. Let's. Well, do you want to
poll update?
Well, let's hit what we haven't hit on the show yet, and then let's do the poll. Poll attacks. As you know, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Moxley with the paradigm shift. Then we had the Danielson thing. Then we had the Brandi and Dan Lambert, Paige Van Zant thing. Then we had the AHFO backstage. Matt Hardy was disappointed in Private Party. Kentucky was also playing Vanderbilt as this was going on. So I missed. Andrade was there and something happened, but I'm not exactly sure what happened. So
Andrade was also frustrated with Private Party, but then Matt Hardy brought up, why isn't Darby a part of this yet? And Matt Hardy was like, oh, and Andrade was like, oh, we gotta talk to his boss. We gotta go do this. And then Matt Hardy went, oh, more De Niro? And that kind of was it.
All right.
Yeah, I love Andrade and Jose. I love Isaiah Cassidy. They're going to some kind of intra-stable dissolution thing because that's what they do. And I think they should all just get along and be happy doing business together. I think that would be so much better if this was just like a successful business venture.
Imagine if we got to see the AHFO board meeting with Private Party, Big Money Matt, Andrade, and Jose, and they just have like a pleasant board meeting. Like they and I mean the problem about
they're following Robert's Rules of Order.
Oh, absolutely. Point of information, point of personal privilege, all the hits there. And I mean, they're talking about like future business acquisitions. They could talk about how they are trying to get Darby they're trying to buy the contract of Darby. Like, this is an awesome segment there because they're going to come into a problem because Andrade does own 51% of the AHFO, but Matt Hardy controls the board of directors with 3 seats.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is the meat of the issue, is what you just said. And so I think you're right. We need to see the board meeting. They can have Mega administrated or whatever. This is where the money's at.
The Blade, dressed sick as hell like always, taking notes. He's the one that's taking notes, calling off the agenda, right?
I'd like to see Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy and Andrade have a disagreement in the board meeting. Matt Hardy cites to Robert's Rules of Order, and then we get, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks of skits of Andrade trying to find Robert so he can buy him.
Who's a good Robert? Robert Roode is out. Who's the second Robert?
They go to Bobby Fish. Like, that's natural.
Robert Fish.
Robert Fish.
That was not a Hispanic accent I just attempted. Robert Fish, he just says.
Yes, I mean, they try to go find Rob Naylor. I mean, there's a lot of Robs they can bring out here. I mean, Robert Gibson. Bring him.
Okay,
yeah.
Just going through all the Roberts.
Just trying to figure out who wrote these Rules of Order.
Nothing? No buys on Rob Black?
No, I didn't. I can't. I'm not hearing your jokes.
But I need reactions.
To survive. Bigger. I need you to go bigger.
Okay.
Well, I heard you, and I know sold that. I heard that.
Rob Black?
Sold that. Well,
there you go. Okay, I'm laughing.
That's all I'm asking for.
No.
All right, then we had Pac and Penta versus Malachi Black and Brody King, and Brody pinned Penta after the Black Goop. Can somebody settle for once and for all what the name of this team is? Malachi Black and Brody King?
It's the House of Black, right?
No, they are a part of House of Black. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they had one. Then PWG they brought over. Is that right?
Yeah, Kings of the Black Throne.
Okay. This was another heel cheating finish where he just cheated and to win the match.
Yeah, Goop into the exact same Bad show. Dominator.
Yeah. They just do these constantly.
But how can you? Okay, as far as I know, there's only 2 people in the House of Black, all right?
Well, he keeps gooping all these people. One of them is going to be corrupted by the goop.
It's just, did they really also need a tag team name?
No. We're going to get someone actually being converted by the goop. Like, maybe the goop is just like, he needs to find someone whose tendency is to get spooky. Maybe he needs to go goop someone who's spooky already. Go goop Abaddon.
I like having individual stables and tag team names is actually good to me. That's, I don't know, something about my like disordered Wikipedia brain is like, oh, I like that distinction that this is the stable and this is the tag team within the stable, even though they're the exact same members.
House of Rob Black? Okay, there we go. Yes, sir. There we go.
You're right. Rob Black should be in the stable.
Thank you. All right. Adam Cole is backstage. He says he's still undefeated, and his record reflects that the Orange Cassidy match was a fluke. but he's not getting enough respect. So it sounds like he's going to get mean, and he's starting with Evil Uno on Rampage this week.
Yeah, this was good. Adam Cole does like a 2-camera heel wrestling promo with like a panache that people do not really do anymore. Even, he's not breaking any new ground here whatsoever. But, he just has the little performance aspects where you're like, that guy's a professional.
I am terrified about what this means for AEW games, guys. Because we know Evil Uno streams every Wednesday afternoon with the Chugs. Like, they're playing
every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. How can they continue these streams after he gets real mean against the guy he plays Windjammers 2 with? Like, real bad for the content.
I'm not worried about it because Adam Cole, a very studied distinction between his on-TV character and his social media presence. All right, much like the Nightmare Factory Twitter account.
Then we had Nyla Rose versus Ruby Soho. Nyla won with a Beast Bomb.
Thought Nyla looked good here. Pretty good from Nyla. Did she have, would I call this a dominant win? A solid win for Nyla here. Did Vicky cheating lead to the finish? I don't think it did. Just a distraction by Vicky kind of led to the finish.
Yeah, she broke up a near fall, like pulling Nyla's leg to the ropes. Yeah, she interfered.
Yeah, heels cheating.
My whole thing is really just that when Ruby came in, she was like super over. And at the time I was like, oh, this is a big test because you can find, like, are they going to create a non-Brit road for being a star in the women's division? And now Ruby is just another person on the roster who doesn't really mean anything. So it's just a bummer.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Adam Page came out to the ring with Tony Schiavone. They do this
There's
thing.
more left of this show than I thought. I thought we were like done.
Me too. There's a little more than I thought as well. They did this thing they normally do where Tony Schiavone's there and he asks one question and then he is no longer part of the promo. Adam Page says he's been champion for 81 days, but he's only gotten to defend his title twice. He's been looking for a challenger for 3 weeks and he still hasn't gotten one. I didn't understand that because I thought Lance Archer is his challenge.
Yeah.
So wasn't sure what he was getting at there. So he wanted to fight Lance now. Dan Lambert and Jake Roberts interrupted. Lance came out. They brawled. Adam Page was going after Lambert. Archer hit him with a chair from behind. More brawling. Hit the blackout through a table.
Yeah. A couple of cool little spots at the end here. They were dangerously close to baby facing Lance Archer because he shut up the two old guys. And Dan Lambert was about to do some cancel culture thing about the Blackhawks and Indians, which was approaching unfortunateness. Blackhawks, more bad looks and bad news from the Blackhawks today while this was happening. But yeah, Lance Archer saved the segment. Match should be good. Be a good death match win for Paige. And then on to the next thing.
I missed this in the YouTube chat, but yes, I do want to apologize to the listeners. We're trying to do an erudite discussion free of sophomoric jokes on this show. So I take back everything I said earlier about beating off.
I didn't, or Rob Black, I don't.
No, I don't take any of those jokes back whatsoever. Okay. What else happened? Chris Jericho was backstage. His hair just looking fantastic.
He looked so good here.
On Mr. Irvine.
Did he get... I mean, the hair looked all new.
Yeah. I think he refreshed the plugs.
Yeah. And, the skin tone looked nice. He didn't look like he was hungover or...
Oh, he definitely had both
overcooked. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wow, okay, Chris, you had
a glow.
A glow? Okay, that's good. Yeah, sure.
Must have a new girlfriend. Nate wanted to react to that, but just couldn't decide where to go. In case you missed that, listeners. All right, I'll just move on. He said what Santana Ortiz did last week was disrespectful, unacceptable. Does Eddie Kingston have some kind of influence over you? I'm more of an influencer in AEW than Kylie Jenner on Instagram. So he's demanding an inner circle team meeting next week.
And it's mandatory.
That's right.
You have to bring Valentine's.
This will be like the first time Jake Hager's been on TV, I think, in this calendar year.
Should bring Catalina.
When
I mean,
when Brandi said the thing about your fighter lost to Jake Paul, I thought she was going to say Jake Hager. Like, she's just going to point out, like, can you believe?
What was the next line she did where she, like, didn't seem to know Amanda Nunez's name? Or she didn't know how to pronounce it? That was weird, right?
That was definitely weird.
Very weird. Wild.
All right. And then CM Punk versus MJF. MJF won, as we've discussed. All right, this is normally where we talk about the Patreon, which is where our new real world champion poll exists. So,
that's right.
Nate, tell us all about it.
Yeah, so this is my new project for 2022. Basically just a poll on the Patreon to determine who the real world champion of professional wrestling is. Your eligible candidates for a given month are holders of the top men's and women's titles in the top 20, 25, 30 promotions in the world that defended or won those titles in the previous month. Kind of like a fun, cute little kayfabe thing to do. What did I say? Oh, so yeah, if the PWF 500 is like the coaches poll or the AP poll for football, and ELO rankings are like the RPI, and this is like the playoff selection committee, where our esteemed patrons are voting on who the actual top champions are. And you get some interesting data. Got some good participation rate so far. And I'll run you through sort of the top tier of our leading vote getters. I'm not going to give away who I don't know. Are the poll results public once you vote? I don't know if they are or not.
I don't think so.
Okay. I think they are. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they probably are. They before you vote, I guess, is a more interesting question. Anyway, so sort of our leading vote getters, just in the order in which I listed their promotions: Adam Page, Kazuchika Okada, Katsuhiko Nakajima, and Jonathan Gresham for the men's title. Women's title: Dr. Britt Baker, Syuri, and I would say Miyu Yamashita are your leading vote getters for the women's title. So we'll have the results in 7 days, so right before Dynamite next week. And as we track this throughout the year, we'll get a good sort of picture of who was the fightingest top champion in wrestling for the year. And it's interesting to look at.
So Kento Miyahara in the mud right now. Kind of disappointing, I'd have to say so far.
Where's he at? Well, fake promotion, really. Wasn't expecting a lot there.
Yeah, I give my thoughts on what I believe All Japan is right now, what they should do, which is die. But yeah.
Let's see, who else is in the mud? Yuji Okabayashi in the mud.
So much for strong BJ. Okay.
Just Rev Pro in general is in the mud.
Yeah, makes sense.
Wouldn't mind seeing some more support behind Jun Kasai.
Jun Kasai, he's not the Big Japan Deathmatch champion right now, or is he King of Freedom?
He's the Freedoms world champion.
Yeah, but sadly, the King of Freedom did not defend his title yet. He'll defend his title on Friday. So
is that Kai's nickname? Is that what that is?
Yes, his nickname now is the King of Freedom.
Why is his nickname the name of a title belt of another promotion?
Well, for one, Dragon Gate fans don't follow any other promotion or anything involved in Japanese pro wrestling.
Kai knows other promotions.
Yes, he is, and he's technically still a freelancer, even though he's only wrestled in Dragon Gate since 2019.
That's a weird nickname, but I do support Kai.
We all support Kai.
Pro Kai. Wikife has messaged me to defend his vote for Jonathan Gresham, and I said, brother, somebody's already voted for Moose.
I'm glad to hear that he's participating. You don't have to defend that vote. Maybe if I do have a criticism about that vote, Jonathan Gresham wrestled to a double pin against Josh Alexander on a show that Jonathan Gresham booked. So this is a champion who booked himself to get pinned, which to me is not exactly world champion of professional wrestling behavior.
But is that contract tampering, though, Nate?
I don't believe it is, but we'll have to ask Smart Mark Sterling.
Yeah. Let's know, Smart Mark.
Adam was giving me permission to call him out if someone asked who the fuck voted for Jonathan Gresham, but Gresham has done well.
He's in that top tier.
Absolutely.
Got a lot of crypto ROH fans on our Patreon, apparently.
Oh, absolutely, we do. Table and all his friends.
Cubs is an ROH liker.
That's true. So that's on our Patreon. So a little something fun to join in on. We have lots of other stuff. We do the Dynamite preview. We talk about Rampage every week. And I'm pretty confident coming out this month will be This Is Sting. I've watched about 50 Sting matches so far. I'm up to the very end of WCW. I'm going to watch some TNA matches and the WWE matches. And then I'm going to say, Mike, here's some amount of matches I want you to watch.
Oh, I just saw who was talking about contract tampering. Mike kept referring to. Okay.
Look, we try to keep it PG on this podcast. Never nasty.
Never nasty, always clean. Yeah. I'm ready for that. I'm really stoked because I think I've talked about this before. WCW is not necessarily something that all of it I'm very well versed in. So I'm ready to see what you throw at me. See what exactly a Human Torch match is, and then I have something cooking. I'm kind of waiting for the shoes to drop for it. And we might be seeing some shoes drop soon. So we'll see.
I also, this is just going to be a teaser, booked a big guest today for a show we're going to be doing in March. It's going to be March themed.
Oh. If you're on the Discord, then you know what this is.
Yeah.
That's true.
And you should hang out in the Discord. You would know what it is if you're in the Discord.
That's right.
So it's such valuable information to have.
That's right. Our Discord, honestly, is sick. So if you join the Patreon, come over to the Discord. Patreon.com/everythingelite. Sign up. World Tour, our Patreon show where we talk about Rampage this weekend. I don't think I'm involved. It's Nate and Mike. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. Nate and Mike will be talking about Rampage from Chicago, where we'll have Adam Cole versus Evil Uno, Thunder Rosa versus Mercedes Martinez. The TNT title will be defended Sammy Guevara against Isaiah Cassidy, and the FTW title is on the line. Ricky Starks against Jay Lethal.
Yeah, I'm interested to see this Rosa Martinez match, given how they've kind of have built it by not really building it other than just smash cut backstage interviews. So that'll be kind of interesting. Isaiah Cassidy, I know, Nate, you were big on Isaiah Cassidy, so this is going to be a big opportunity for him on Friday. I'm kind of excited to see how that match turns out for him.
Yeah, I think he's going to deliver. But of course, I don't know if there's any way he can wear his two watches or talk about pounding ass while wrestling the match. But I think he's a pretty good wrestler too.
The All Elite White People account in the mud for this episode of Rampage, for sure. A great showcase for many of the excellent wrestlers of color in AEW, and also Jay Lethal will be there. Dynamite next week is in Atlantic City. We got the Inner Circle team meeting and the AEW men's world titles on the line. Adam Page against Lance Archer in a Texas death match in Atlantic City.
I still think they need to go find a casino that's going to be bust, that's going to be broken down. I think they need to fight into a casino. He needs to do a blackout through a blackjack table, and I think that needs to happen. I'm pretty certain about that.
Yeah, I think we should bring cinematic matches back.
Yeah, we're kind of missing out on that, aren't we? I mean, Aaron, don't you think this would be a great cinematic, like a casino death match?
We could start on the boardwalk,
Right, yeah. Go
end
down the
up in a
pier.
casino.
You really
Yeah.
enunciated the L on boardwalk.
You
You nailed it.
You guys were asking about my sweatshirt before we started, and it's for the band that is called a word that is spelled TERROR. Go ahead.
TERRO.
Terror.
Terror?
Right. When I say it, it just sounds like TE and then a bunch of R's.
Terror?
Like Terror.
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 Terror. Terror.
Terror.
Terror.
Is how I would say it.
Terriers.
So anyway, I don't enunciate letters very well, so I'm glad you thought I hit that L.
Nailed it.
I'm good at taking L's. All right. I think that's our show. You can follow us on Twitter at Everything AEW. I'm at Aaron Like the Car. Nate's at Epitasis. Mike's at Fuji Heya with 2 eyes. Subscribe to the podcast. Give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and go subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/everythingelite. For Mike, for Nate, I'm Aaron. We'll see you next week.